I stood in front of my childhood home, clutching the acceptance letter from Stanford, tears streaming down my face. My mother's words still rang in my ears. We had to make a choice, Tiffany. Cooper's MBA program isn't cheap. My name is Tiffany, and this was the moment I realized blood isn't always thicker than water, especially when it comes to stepbrothers who've always been the golden child. You can't be serious, Mom, I said, my voice cracking. That was my college fund. Dad left that money for me before he died. My mother, Summer, sat at our kitchen table, her manicured fingers wrapped around her ever-present coffee mug. Cooper lounged against the counter, trying to look sympathetic but failing miserably. Look, sis, he started. Harvard MBA is, don't you dare sis me right now. I cut him off. You already got your bachelor's degree? I haven't even started college yet. My stepfather, Nicholas, cleared his throat from the doorway. There are always student loans, Tiffany. Lots of people take that route. I laughed bitterly. Right, because Cooper couldn't possibly take out loans himself. He just had to have my money. It's not like that, my mother protested. Cooper has such potential. This opportunity at Harvard. And I don't have potential? I slammed the Stanford letter on the table. Full academic scholarship, Mom. I did that all on my own. The money was supposed to be for living expenses, for books, for having a shot at focusing on my studies instead of working 3 jobs. Cooper at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. I'll pay you back, Tiffany, once I'm established. Save it, I snapped. You've never worked a day in your life. You don't even know what money means to real people. My best friend Rosalind was waiting outside in her beat-up Honda Civic. We'd planned to celebrate my acceptance today. Instead, she was about to become my getaway driver. This isn't about the money anymore, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. This is about you always choosing him over me, every single time. That's not fair, my mother started to cry. She was good at that, turning herself into the victim. We're trying to do what's best for the family. No, you're doing what's best for Cooper, like always. I headed for the stairs. I'm packing my things. Don't be dramatic, Nicholas called after me. Where will you even go? I was already halfway up the stairs. Anywhere but here. 20 minutes later, I had stuffed everything I cared about into 2 duffel bags. Rosalind helped me carry them down, past my sobbing mother and silent stepfather. Cooper tried to help, but one look from me stopped him in his tracks. Tiffany, please? My mother grabbed my arm as I reached the door. We can figure something out. Maybe if you wait a year? I pulled away from her grip. I'm done waiting. I'm done being the backup plan. I'm done watching Cooper get everything handed to him while I fight for scraps. You're being childish, Nicholas said. Family supports each other. Really? I turned to face them one last time. Then where's my support? Where's my chance at a dream school? Oh, wait, Cooper needed that more. He always needs everything more. Rosalind started the car as I walked out. I didn't look back as I got in, didn't acknowledge my mother's calls from the porch. You okay? Rosalind asked as we pulled away. No, I answered honestly. But I will be. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. $2,000. My entire savings from working at the mall since sophomore year. What's the plan? She asked. I thought about the small business course I'd taken in high school, about the side hustle I'd started selling customized phone cases online, about all the nights I'd stayed up learning about marketing and e-commerce while Cooper partied his way through college. First, we find me a place to live, I said, my mind already racing with possibilities. Then I'm going to build something of my own, something so successful that they'll all regret the day they bet against me. Rosalind glanced at me, a smile playing on her lips. Revenge success? I like it. Not revenge, I corrected her, watching my childhood home disappear in the side mirror. Justice. And I'm going to make sure Cooper has a front row seat when I get it. 6 months into my new life, I was living in Rosalind's spare room and working double shifts at a coffee shop while building my online business. Every spare moment went into my phone case designs and marketing strategy. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. You need to see this, Rosalind said one morning, shoving her phone in my face before I'd even had my first coffee. It was an Instagram post from Cooper, Harvard Business School campus, perfect smile, designer suit. The caption read, "Living the dream, hard work pays off." Hard work? I scoffed, handing her phone back. More like my college fund pays off. Don't let him get to you, Rosalind warned. Focus on your own path. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed. Another order notification, then another, and another. What the hell? I opened my online store dashboard. Hundreds of orders were pouring in. Remember that TikTok influencer I sent our cases to last week? Rosalind grinned. She just posted her review. My hands shook as I pulled up the video. The influencer was raving about our custom designs, showing off the intricate artwork and premium quality. The comment section was exploding with people asking where to buy them. Holy shit, I whispered. We're going viral. That's when my phone rang. It was Samuel, a regular at the coffee shop who'd been mentoring me informally after overhearing me talk about my business. I saw the numbers, he said without preamble. You ready to take this to the next level? What do you mean? I mean, I want to invest. Real money, Tiffany. Enough to scale this properly. I gripped the phone tighter. Why would you do that? Because you've got something special here. Meet me at the usual spot in an hour. The usual spot was a small diner where we'd spent countless hours discussing business strategy. When I arrived, Samuel was already there, laptop open. Sit down, he said, turning the screen toward me. Look at these projections. The numbers made my head spin. That's impossible. Not with the right backing. He leaned forward. I've been watching you, Tiffany, working doubles, building your business at night, never complaining. That's the kind of dedication investors dream about. I can't pay you back right away, I admitted. This isn't a loan, it's an investment. 20% equity for $100,000 in capital. I nearly choked on my coffee. That's crazy. That's business, he smiled. And it's just the beginning. 2 weeks later, I quit the coffee shop. A month after that, we moved into our first real office space. Rosalind quit her job to become my operations manager. Your mother called again, she said one afternoon as we supervised the installation of our new printing equipment. Delete the message, I replied, not looking up from the supply chain spreadsheet I was reviewing. She says Cooper's graduation is next month. She wants you there. I finally looked up. Tell her I'm busy building the business. Cooper's education was apparently more important than mine. Savage, Rosalind grinned. I like it. Samuel walked in then, bringing the energy up as usual. Ladies, wait until you see these numbers. We're not just trending anymore. We're exploding. He pulled up our sales dashboard on the main screen. The growth curve was nearly vertical. We need to hire more people, I said, studying the data, and we need a bigger space. Already on it, Samuel replied. I've got 3 potential locations for us to look at tomorrow. That night, as I finally headed home to my new apartment, no more spare room for me, I got a text from Cooper. Hey sis, heard your business is taking off. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? I'd love to hear about it. I stared at the message for a long moment before typing my reply. Sorry, too busy working. You know, that thing some of us have to do to succeed. Rosalind called just as I was getting ready for bed. You're not going to believe this, she said. Remember that tech magazine that interviewed you last month? You're going to be on the cover. Rising Star Under 30 feature. I sat down hard on my bed, thinking about that Stanford acceptance letter I'd clutched so tightly just 2 years ago. Send me the preview, I said. When the image loaded, I couldn't help but smile. There I was, standing in our office, looking confident and successful. The headline read, From Zero to Million, How Tiffany Built an Empire from Her Phone Case Design. I forwarded the preview to my mother with a simple message. Guess I had potential after all. Then I turned off my phone, opened my laptop, and got back to work. Because success, I'd learned, was the sweetest revenge of all. 3 years into running my company, I barely thought about Cooper anymore. Our custom tech accessories line had expanded into retail stores nationwide, and I was too busy managing our explosive growth to dwell on the past. Until today. Is that who I think it is? Rosalind whispered, nudging me as we walked into the upscale restaurant for our investor lunch. Across the room, Cooper sat alone at a table, his designer suit noticeably wrinkled, staring intently at his phone. He looked different, thinner, worried, nothing like his polished Instagram posts. Let's sit somewhere else, I said, but it was too late. He'd spotted us. Tiffany? Cooper stood up, nearly knocking over his water glass. I can't believe it's you. Cooper, I nodded coolly. How's the Harvard MBA working out? His smile faltered slightly. Well, actually, I've been meaning to reach out. We're here for a meeting. I cut him off, gesturing to Rosalind. Please, just 5 minutes? He glanced around nervously. I could really use your advice. Before I could refuse, Samuel walked in. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was... He trailed off, noticing the tension. Everything okay here? This is my stepbrother, Cooper, I said flatly. He was just leaving. Actually, Cooper interjected, I really need to talk to you, Tiffany. It's important. Samuel raised an eyebrow at me. I sighed. Fine, 5 minutes. I turned to Samuel and Rosalind. Get our table. I'll be right there. Cooper led me to his table, where I noticed a stack of financial documents scattered across the surface. So, I sat down. What's so important? My company's in trouble, he blurted out. Big trouble. I couldn't help but laugh. Your company? Last I heard, you were working for that consulting firm. I left 6 months ago to start my own venture. He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit from childhood. I thought with my MBA and connections it would be easy. Nothing's easy in business, I said coldly. Something you'd know if you'd ever had to work for anything. He flinched. I deserve that. But Tiffany, I'm desperate. The investors are pulling out, and if I don't find new funding by the end of the month... Let me guess, you want money? No? Well, yes, but not directly. He leaned forward. I need your expertise, your connections. You've built something amazing, and I clearly don't know what I'm doing. Just then, my phone buzzed. A news alert about Cooper's company. Their stock was in free fall after missing quarterly projections. So that's what this is about. I showed him the alert. Your company's tanking and you want me to bail you out. It's not like that, he protested. I've learned my lesson, Tiffany. I see now how wrong I was, how wrong we all were about you. Convenient timing for this revelation. Mom asks about you all the time, he tried. She regrets everything. Don't, I stood up. Don't you dare use Mom to manipulate me. Not again. Please, his voice cracked. I'm not asking for a handout. I'll do anything. Work from the bottom up, learn from you. Like I had to? I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Funny how that works, isn't it? When you're the one struggling, suddenly hard work seems like a reasonable option. I know I don't deserve your help, he admitted, but I'm asking anyway. I looked over at my table where Samuel and Rosalind were pretending not to watch us. They'd been there from the beginning, believing in me when my own family wouldn't. Send me your business plan, I heard myself say. All of it. Financials, projections, everything. His face lit up. Really? Thank you, Don't thank me yet. I cut him off. This isn't a yes. This is me doing my due diligence before I decide whether you're worth my time. That's fair. He nodded eagerly. More than fair. And Cooper? I paused before walking away. If I find out you're lying about anything at all, we're done. Forever. I understand, he said quietly. As I rejoined my table, Rosalind gave me a concerned look. You're not seriously considering helping him, are you? I'm considering teaching him a lesson, I replied, picking up my menu. One he should have learned a long time ago. Samuel leaned back, studying me. Revenge is a dish best served cold? No, I smiled slightly. Success is a dish best served with a side of karma. That night, Cooper's business plan landed in my inbox. The subject line read, "Thank you for giving me a chance." I poured myself a glass of wine and opened the file, ready to see just how far the mighty had fallen. This is a disaster, I said, spreading Cooper's business documents across my office conference table. Rosalind and Samuel sat on either side, reviewing the numbers with matching grimaces. How did he burn through $5 million in venture capital this fast? Rosalind asked, flipping through expense reports. Designer office space, excessive staff parties, first-class business trips, I pointed to various line items. Classic Cooper, all show, no substance. A knock at the door interrupted us. Cooper stood there, looking even more disheveled than at the restaurant. You said to come by at 10, he said hesitantly. Sit down. I gestured to the chair across from me. We need to talk about your business model. He sat, fidgeting with his expensive watch, probably another poor financial decision. Look, I started, your entire approach is backwards. You're spending money like a successful company before earning a single dollar in profit. The investors said we needed to project success to... The investors were wrong, I cut him off, and now they're abandoning ship. Tell me, what exactly does your company do? Cooper launched into a convoluted explanation about digital transformation consulting, using every buzzword in the MBA handbook. Stop. I held up my hand. Explain it like you're talking to a 5-year-old. He blinked. We help other companies modernize their business processes? And how many clients have actually paid for this service? His silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. I closed his business plan with a decisive snap. You're 3 months from complete bankruptcy. I know, he whispered. That's why I need your help. Please, Tiffany. Samuel cleared his throat. I've seen worse turnarounds, but it would take serious restructuring. And serious humility, Rosalind added, eyeing Cooper. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline. My company's new headquarters occupied 3 floors of this building, all earned through hard work and smart decisions. Remember when Mom gave you my college fund? I asked, still facing the window. Tiffany, No, let me finish. I turned to face him. You took that money without a second thought. You went to Harvard, got your MBA, and thought success would just fall into your lap. I was wrong, he said quietly. So wrong. Yes, you were. I walked back to the table. So here's my offer. I'll help save your company. His face lit up, but I raised a hand to stop his premature celebration. But not as a consultant or investor. You're going to work for me. Work? For you? Entry-level position, minimum wage. You'll learn every aspect of this business from the ground up, just like I did. Cooper's jaw dropped. But I have an MBA from Harvard, which clearly hasn't taught you anything about running a real business. I slid a contract across the table. While you work here, I'll have my team analyze your company and implement a restructuring plan, but you don't get to make any decisions. For how long? He asked, staring at the contract. 6 months minimum. If you prove yourself, we'll discuss next steps. If you don't, I shrugged. Well, bankruptcy is always an option. Rosalind smirked. Hope you like making coffee runs and organizing spreadsheets. Cooper picked up the contract with trembling hands. And if I refuse, then good luck finding someone else to bail you out. I checked my watch. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. The position starts Monday at 8 a.m. sharp. 8? He looked startled. That's early. Welcome to the real world, brother. I gathered my papers. Rosalind will show you out. As they left, Samuel stayed behind, a thoughtful expression on his face. You're not just doing this to humiliate him, are you? I sat down heavily in my chair. No. Believe it or not, I actually want him to learn something. Maybe if he understands what it takes to build something real. You're a better person than most would be in your position, Samuel said. Don't be so sure. I smiled grimly. I'm still going to enjoy watching him struggle a little. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Cooper told me you're considering helping him. Please call me. I deleted the message without responding. This was between Cooper and me now. If he wanted salvation, he'd have to earn it the hard way. The next morning, exactly at 8 a.m., Cooper walked into my office. He placed the signed contract on my desk, his Harvard class ring catching the light. When do I start? He asked. I pointed to a desk visible through my office window, the smallest one in the open office area. A stack of files waited there, along with a company laptop that had seen better days. Right now, I said. And Cooper, that tie costs more than your first paycheck will. I'd rethink your wardrobe choices. He nodded, swallowing hard, and walked out to his new desk. Let the education begin. Cooper, these spreadsheets were due an hour ago. I called out across the office. 2 weeks into his new role, and my stepbrother was struggling with even basic tasks. I'm almost done, he called back, frantically typing at his desk. His once perfectly styled hair was disheveled, and his new discount store button-down was wrinkled. Almost doesn't cut it in this business. I walked over to his desk. What's the holdup? He gestured helplessly at his screen. I'm still learning the formulas. Excel wasn't really a focus at Harvard. Of course it wasn't, I muttered. Rosalind, can you help him? Rosalind rolled her eyes but moved to Cooper's desk. Watch carefully this time. I'm not showing you again. The office phone rang. Cooper reached for it automatically. Don't. I stopped him. You haven't completed the customer service training yet. Last time you took a call, you managed to offend one of our biggest retailers. He slumped in his chair. I was trying to sound professional. You sounded condescending, I corrected. There's a difference. Just then, Samuel burst into the office. Tiffany, we have a situation. The new production line in Dallas is having quality control issues. They're threatening to halt operations. I can help. Cooper perked up. I did a case study on quality control at... No, I cut him off. You focus on learning those Excel formulas. This is real business, not a classroom exercise. As I walked away with Samuel, I heard Cooper mutter, I do have an MBA, you know. And I have a successful company. I called back without turning around. Guess which one matters more? In my office, Samuel pulled up the production reports. It's worse than we thought. The last batch had a 30% defect rate. Book me on the next flight to Dallas, I said, already pulling up my calendar. Already done. You leave in 3 hours. He paused. What about Cooper? What about him? This could be a learning opportunity. Show him how real problems get solved in the field. I considered it. Fine, tell him to pack a bag, but make it clear he's there to observe and learn, nothing else. 2 hours later, Cooper and I sat in airport chairs, waiting for our flight. He was trying to hide his excitement at traveling for work, but I could see him straightening his tie every few minutes. This isn't a luxury business trip, I warned. We're flying economy, staying at a budget hotel, and working long hours. I understand. He nodded seriously. Thank you for including me. Don't thank me yet. This is going to show you exactly what it takes to run a real business. The next morning, we arrived at the Dallas facility at 6 a.m. Cooper's eyes widened at the sight of workers already busy on the production floor. First rule of manufacturing, I said as we walked through the facility. You can't manage what you don't understand. Watch everything. For the next 12 hours, we inspected products, talked to workers, and reviewed processes. Cooper took notes frantically, his Harvard confidence crumbling as he faced real-world complexities. The issue isn't just quality control, he said finally, as we reviewed his notes that evening in the hotel's shabby business center. It's worker training and material handling procedures. I looked up from my laptop, surprised. Go on. The new hires aren't properly trained on material sensitivity, and the storage conditions aren't maintaining consistent temperature. He showed me his observations. Small issues, but they compound. Not bad, I admitted. Now, how would you fix it? He launched into a detailed plan, and for the first time I saw glimpses of actual business sense beneath his MBA polish. Implementation would cost about $40,000, he finished, and save us nearly $200,000 in rejected products, I added. Write it up. Properly this time, not in Harvard case study format. He worked through dinner, hunched over his laptop. At midnight, he sent me his proposal. This is actually good, I said, reviewing it. Clear, practical, cost-effective. Really? His face lit up. Don't get too excited. It's one good idea after 2 weeks of mistakes, but... I closed my laptop. It's a start. The next day, as we implemented his suggestions, I watched him interact with the workers. Gone was the condescending MBA graduate. Instead, he listened, learned, and even rolled up his sleeves to help. You know, Rosalind said during our evening video call, your evil plan to humble him might actually be working. Maybe, I replied, watching Cooper explain the new procedures to a group of workers, but the real test is still coming. What do you mean? I smiled grimly. Wait until Mom finds out her golden boy is working minimum wage under his little sister's supervision. That's when we'll see if he's really changed. As if on cue, my phone lit up with my mother's number. Time to face the music. This is unacceptable, Tiffany. My mother's voice crackled through the phone. Making your brother work as a common employee? He has an MBA from Harvard. Nice to hear from you too, Mom, I replied, watching through my office window as Cooper organized inventory sheets. How long has it been? 2 years? Don't change the subject. Cooper told me about your arrangement. Did he tell you about how he nearly bankrupted his company? Or how he came begging for my help? A pause. He's going through a rough patch. But making him work minimum wage? That's just cruel. No, Mom. Cruel is taking away your daughter's college fund to give to her stepbrother. This is called learning. Cooper knocked on my office door, holding a stack of reports. I waved him in. I have to go, I told my mother. Some of us have actual work to do. Wait. I hung up before she could finish. Those quarterly projections? I asked Cooper. He nodded, placing them on my desk. And I think I found something interesting in the market analysis. Before he could elaborate, my mother burst into the office. Cooper froze, his face paling. Mom, he stammered, what are you doing here? Ending this ridiculous situation, she declared, turning to me. I won't let you humiliate your brother like this. I leaned back in my chair. Last I checked, this was my company. You don't get a say here. Mom, please, Cooper interjected. This isn't what you think. Look at you, she gestured at his modest clothing, working like some entry-level nobody. This isn't what we paid for your education for. Actually, Cooper straightened up, I'm learning more here than I did in business school. She blinked, thrown off script. What? Tiffany's teaching me real business, not theory, not case studies, real practical knowledge. But your company is failing because I didn't know what I was doing, he admitted. I thought an MBA meant I could skip the hard parts. I was wrong. I watched this exchange silently, studying my mother's face as her worldview slowly cracked. But you're her brother, she tried again. She should be helping you as an equal. Like you helped us equally, I finally spoke up. Or did you forget about that? That was different. You're right, Cooper cut in. It was different. You gave me everything and Tiffany nothing, and look which one of us built a successful company. The office fell silent. My mother sank into a chair, looking suddenly older. I just wanted what was best for you, she whispered. No, I stood up. You wanted what was easiest. Backing Cooper was easy. Supporting his dreams was easy. But believing in me? That would have required effort. Tiffany, Cooper said quietly. The market analysis. Not now, I started, but he persisted. Yes, now. He opened one of the reports. Our biggest competitor is launching a new product line next quarter. If we don't act fast, we could lose significant market share. I studied the data he'd compiled. It was thorough, professional, and worryingly accurate. How did you get this information? I still have some contacts from my consulting days, and I've been studying our market every night after work. He looked almost apologetic. I know I'm just an entry-level employee, but... Show me your plan, I interrupted. As Cooper presented his analysis, I watched my mother's expression shift from dismissal to surprise to reluctant respect. Her golden boy was finally earning his way. We'll need to move fast, Cooper finished. The window of opportunity is small. I nodded slowly. Draft a detailed proposal, include budget requirements and timeline. Have it on my desk tomorrow morning. Really? His face lit up. Don't make me regret it. My mother stood up, smoothing her designer dress. Well, I can see you're both busy. I should... Yes, you should. I agreed coldly. And Mom? Next time, call before showing up at my company. After she left, Cooper lingered. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know she would come. Of course you didn't. That would have required her to actually listen to you. I gestured to his desk. Get started on that proposal. And Cooper? Yeah? Good work on catching this. Maybe there's hope for you yet. He smiled slightly. Thanks, sis. As he returned to his desk, my phone buzzed with a text from Rosalind. Your mom just walked past my office looking like she'd seen a ghost. What happened? I typed back. Reality finally caught up with her. And maybe, just maybe, Cooper too. But we still had a company to run, and now apparently a competitor to outmaneuver. Family drama would have to wait. We're losing them. Cooper burst into my office, his tie askew. Target just called. They're considering our competitor's offer. 3 months had passed since his market analysis, and we were in the fight of our lives. Our biggest competitor had launched their new line ahead of schedule, catching us off guard. Get Samuel and Rosalind in here. Now. I pulled up our latest sales figures on the main screen. Within minutes, my core team assembled. Cooper stood at the whiteboard, sketching out our situation. Target wants a 30% price reduction, or they're switching suppliers, he explained. We can't match that without taking a massive hit. We don't need to match it, I said, studying the numbers. We need to beat it differently. Samuel leaned forward. What are you thinking? Cooper, remember what you learned in Dallas about quality control? His eyes lit up. The enhanced production process. If we implement it across all facilities, we could guarantee 0 defects, I finished. Something our competitor can't match at their reduced price point. But rolling that out would take weeks, Rosalind pointed out. Target wants an answer by Friday. Then we work around the clock, I decided. Cooper, you're going to Dallas. Samuel, take Chicago. Rosalind, coordinate from here. What about you? Cooper asked. I'm going to Target's headquarters. Sometimes you need the CEO in the room. As everyone rushed to their tasks, my phone rang. It was my mother. Not now, I answered. I just wanted to say. She hesitated. I saw your company in the news, about the market challenge. I'm worried about you both. Both? You and Cooper. He called last night, working late. He sounded different, determined. He's learning, I said shortly. I have to go. Wait, she said quickly. I was wrong, Tiffany, about everything. I see that now. I paused at the door. Save it, Mom. I'm about to fight for my company's future. Your guilt will have to wait. The next 48 hours were a blur. While Cooper and Samuel implemented quality controls across our facilities, I sat in meetings with Target's executives, fighting for our contract. Your competitor's offer is compelling, Target's purchasing director said, sliding their proposal across the table. Their offer is cheap, I corrected. And you know what happens with cheap products? They fail. Then your customers get angry and your brand suffers. You sound very confident. I am. I opened my laptop, showing them real-time data from our facilities. While our competitor cuts corners, we're implementing state-of-the-art quality control across all production lines. 0 defects guaranteed. My phone buzzed. A text from Cooper. Dallas facility upgraded. Running at 100% efficiency. Chicago reports similar results. I smiled. In fact, I can show you the results right now. 2 hours later, I walked out with a signed contract. Not only had we kept Target, but we'd secured a larger order at a premium price. Back at the office, the team was waiting. Well? Rosalind asked anxiously. I held up the contract. The room erupted in cheers. This calls for celebration, Samuel declared, pulling out champagne he'd apparently been keeping for just such an occasion. As everyone celebrated, Cooper approached me quietly. Thank you, he said. For what? For teaching me what real business looks like. For giving me a chance to earn my way. You earned this win, I admitted. Your market analysis saved us. Your work in Dallas made the difference. Still, he smiled ruefully. It's ironic. Mom and Dad spent a fortune on my Harvard MBA, but I learned more in 6 months working for my little sister. Speaking of Mom, I hesitated. She called earlier, said she was wrong about everything. She was, Cooper agreed. We all were. I just hope. He was interrupted by a commotion at the office entrance. Our mother stood there, holding what looked like. Is that pizza? Rosalind asked incredulously. I thought you might be working late, Mom said uncertainly. I remember you always liked pizza when you were studying. I looked at Cooper. He shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. Well, I said finally, we did just save the company. I suppose we could use some pizza. As the team gathered around, mixing champagne and pepperoni in a bizarre victory celebration, I watched my mother awkwardly try to fit into this world she'd once dismissed. To Tiffany, Cooper raised his glass, the best boss and sister I could have asked for. To the team, I corrected him, all of us. My mother caught my eye across the room, her expression a mixture of pride and regret. Maybe some bridges weren't completely burned after all, but first, we had a company to run, and this time, we'd do it together. And that's how we turned the company around. Cooper finished his presentation to our newest batch of interns by focusing on quality over quick profits. I watched from the back of the conference room as my brother, now our chief operations officer, wrapped up his talk. The irony wasn't lost on me. The former Harvard MBA graduate teaching others about starting from the bottom. Questions? He asked. A young intern raised her hand. Is it true you used to be CEO of your own company? I thought I was, Cooper smiled. Turns out I was just playing at being a CEO. Real leadership is something you earn. As the interns filed out, Rosalind poked her head in. Your mother's here. She's in your office. I found Mom sitting in one of my visitor chairs, holding a familiar-looking envelope. I was cleaning out the attic, she said without preamble, and found this. She handed me the envelope, my old Stanford acceptance letter. Why did you keep this? I asked, turning the weathered paper over in my hands. To remind myself of my biggest mistake. She met my eyes. I've been trying to find the right way to make amends. Mom, let me finish. She pulled out a checkbook. I know it's years too late, but I want to repay your college fund. With interest. I stared at the checkbook, memories of that devastating day flooding back. Before I could respond, Cooper appeared in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt, but we have that meeting with the board in 10 minutes. He noticed the tension. Everything okay? Mom's trying to repay my college fund, I said. Cooper walked in, closing the door behind him. The one you gave to me? Yes, she whispered. I thought money could fix it. I looked around my office, at the awards on the wall, the view of the city, the empire I'd built from nothing. Then at Cooper, who'd learned humility and real business acumen the hard way. Keep your money, I said finally. Some things worked out better without it. But I need to make this right, she insisted. Then do it differently, I suggested. Instead of trying to fix the past, help us with the future. What do you mean? I shared a look with Cooper, who nodded encouragingly. We're starting a scholarship program, I explained, for young entrepreneurs who can't afford business school. Real training, real experience, real mentorship. Like what you did for me, Cooper added, but for others who need it. Mom's hands trembled as she put away her checkbook. You want my help with that? You have experience picking favorites, I said, but without the old bitterness. Maybe this time you can use that skill to help deserving kids get a real shot. I'd like that, she smiled through tears. A knock at the door interrupted us. Samuel with the board meeting materials. Ready to show them the scholarship proposal? He asked. Actually, I looked at Mom. Would you like to sit in, see what we're building? She nodded, standing up straighter. I'd love to. As we walked to the boardroom, Cooper fell into step beside me. You know, he said quietly, when you first made me work minimum wage, I thought you were just getting revenge. Wasn't I? Maybe at first, but you also gave me something priceless, the chance to earn my own respect. The boardroom was packed with investors and executives. I took my place at the head of the table, Cooper on one side, Mom on the other. As I looked around at these people who'd become more than just colleagues, I felt something shift into place. Before we begin, I addressed the room, I want to introduce a new advisor for our scholarship program. Someone who's learned, as we all have, that true success isn't about where you start, but how you choose to move forward. Mom straightened in her chair, ready to contribute to something meaningful for once. Now, I continued, pulling up our presentation, let's talk about giving others the opportunity to build their own success stories. As I launched into the proposal, I caught Rosalind's eye across the table. She gave me a subtle thumbs up. She who'd been there from the beginning, who'd seen me at my lowest and helped me rise. This was my revenge, I realized, not in destroying Cooper or proving my mother wrong, but in building something stronger than their rejection, something that would help others rise above their own obstacles. The old wound of betrayal had finally healed, replaced by something unexpected, the satisfaction of turning pain into purpose, and that was worth more than any college fund.
The phone vibrated against my desk, its screen lighting up with a message from an unknown